What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Zamboni. I am an herbalist and astrologer here in New York City, and I am here to tell you about the astrology of the week ahead. So do make sure to follow me here on Instagram, Zamboni Funk. You can also find me on Patreon, where I do a lot of sort of practical enchantment advice, and we do group intentions and hang out every week. It's a nice way for us to sort of like get involved as a community project, and that's in addition to the forecasts that I do for free on Instagram, which you're welcome to check out all the time. So also use the code Zamboni Funk on the Alchemist Kitchen website for 10% off anything in the store. And be sure to check out their new location at 119 Crosby Street. So it's been a relocation, so check that out. So without further ado, let's talk about the week ahead. This is a big one. We're in the thick of it. We are in the hard part of the year right now, which is obvious. It's very easy to see how things are very wild and crazy right now. A lot of us had a really rough week last week, and we are sort of just continuing in this theme for a little while. So what happened last week was we had the Mars-Saturn square, Mars in Aries, retrograde, Saturn in Capricorn turned direct, and then they squared each other at 25 degrees of Aries and Capricorn. And so then there's a lot of like frustration and sort of bottled up anger and, the kind of internal damage that can sort of turn external as well. That comes with bottled up anger or bottled up emotions and an inability to express that in an appropriate way. And so we saw a lot of that, and then we kind of landed. So today on Sunday, we sort of land in this place where, we get this nice Jupiter-Neptune aspect. We've got Jupiter in Capricorn and, sextile to Neptune in Pisces. Neptune is in Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter. So there's reception here. This is soothing, balmy. It's chill. It's pleasurable. It's, this is kind of like a moment to lick your wounds if you've been through wartime earlier in the year or in the week rather. And so we see a similar sort of pattern moving into this week that we're going into. So the kind of main event that's going to be going on here is we've got Mars square Pluto this time. So Pluto is at 22 degrees of Capricorn. Mars is retrograde, means it's moving backwards, right? So we had 25 degrees last week, and now we're moving to 22 degrees. Mars is going to square Pluto. Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn, and so therefore we're going to be talking about Saturn things still. We're still talking about like major institutions and things that have large weight to them and structures and this sort of stuff. But with Pluto, it can be a little more maybe, Pluto likes to distort things. Pluto likes to make it seem super, super intense. There's a lot of times people will talk about like obsession or jealousy when talking about Pluto. There's this sort of desire component, which Mars can really can vibe with a lot. Mars is very passionate and desirous, especially in such a strong Mars position as Aries, which Mars rules Aries, right? So there's a very strong Mars that has a lot of desires. And then we put that with Pluto, and the desire becomes of near infinite magnitude. It's very, very big. It's obsessive. It's jealous. It maybe can't see past its own sort of perception of things. I like to think about like the funhouse mirror a little bit. It's wavy, and so it like creates this distorted image, and then that is kind of what is driving the action, if it's Mars, right? Mars is the action planet. Mars wants to do stuff. And so Pluto is going to sort of like give a perception of things that is like that is distorted or very big, mountains, molehills into mountains, goes on a lot of times with Pluto, right? And then that sort of idea is going to drive some of the rage and frustration and action that Mars in Aries wants to signify. Now, this is a very grumpy Mars that has just been in a fight and lost probably with Saturn, and then it now has to be in a fight with Pluto. And so it's just like, it's feeling a lot during this time. And so this is what we're looking at here is we're looking at like sort of Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Mars is moving kind of slow. Pluto is also always moving slow. And so there's a period of time here where we're going to get this like exact degree based thing. Really, if we're using orbs of 3 degrees or something like that, we've already been inside this. Like I said, last week and the week before that and the week before that, like this is all kind of just operational the whole time. This whole season is going to be sort of like characterized by this dynamic, and we're going to see different peaks of different situations. Last week we had a peak of Mars Saturn. This week we have a peak of Mars Pluto, but it's kind of the same dynamic. We're going to see all this stuff kind of working together and operating in the same way. So again, this is going to be like more of the same. This is not going to be, I don't expect major surprises. Maybe major events will take place and things that people, will make the news or something like that. And people will maybe be surprised because a thing happened. But it's likely not going to be a thing that is unfamiliar. It's a thing that we've seen before. And, and we've been working with this, with Saturn and Capricorn, sort of like being sort of like past looking, being very interested in tradition and convention and things that are like sort of past oriented. Then this is a situation that affects much more than just this season or just this week, right? This week is a peak of it, and the season is a peak of it. But really, we're looking at systems and programs that go back much longer than that. And so, again, we're not really looking at surprises. We're looking at more of the same and sort of like a boiling point or a breaking point around a lot of this stuff. And so that's sort of like later on in the week that's building up a little bit. Now, the thing here that I think is really key and is sort of the thing that I have been recommending leaning into is Mercury in Scorpio is going to be opposite to Uranus in Taurus this week as well. So that's going to happen a little bit earlier in the week. That's going to be like sort of Tuesday, Wednesday, a little bit into Thursday. Mercury is also moving very slowly at this point. Mercury is going to station retrograde next week. And so we're going to get this Mercury opposite Uranus aspect a few times. And so Mercury retrograde is very much about like revisions and looking at old stuff. We'll talk about that more next week. But there's a very sort of, like a critical eye component that's going on here. This sort of like, we need to reevaluate some things that's going on. Uranus in Taurus is very innovative. It's often Uranus doesn't mind a break. Uranus is very volatile. And so when breaks are going on, Uranus is very at home in this kind of situation. And so, Mercury in Scorpio is also, like a sign that is it's sort of like, quiet and cautious and brooding and, thinks very deeply about things. And, it's very incisive and direct. And so this Mercury in Scorpio, is sort of, has a good opportunity to get and generate some very strong and deep insight, which is not necessarily going to be comfortable. This is not a comfortable season. This is not a comfortable time that we get to go through. There's not a lot of comfort in the skies, right? So we don't get to lean into comfort by doing this, but we perhaps can lean into some new ideas and some innovations. We can see that some major things are changing at this point, right? So if there are changes that are taking place, then that means that the future that we're going into is going to be different than the past that we were just in. And so there's this innovative moment here where we can sort of like break through in our ideas, right? Uranus loves a good breakthrough, and Mercury very much has to do with the mind and the intellect and the expression of ideas. And so we're going to get two Mercury opposite Uranus activations quick, because it's just going to be like the one this week, and then we're going to station retrograde and hit it again. And then the next one will be sort of like a month or two after that. So this is a really good opportunity to sort of like dig in and think some new thoughts and make some new plans. And maybe with Mercury in Scorpio, maybe not announce it to the whole world. Maybe you don't have to tell everybody about your plans. Maybe you can just do your things and start making some moves as you see some breaks going on, because there are some major breaks going on. You know, we get this sort of like new idea situation and an opportunity to sort of like begin this process, right? Because there's going to be those 3 hits. So this is the very first beginning part of this. And then we move into Mars square Pluto. And it's not just Mars square Pluto. That's the other thing, is that the moon is going to come through as well. And the moon is going to be in Cancer, which is typically a nice placement for the moon. The moon rules Cancer, but what it's going to do is it's going to make a grand cross, which is where everybody is square and opposite to everyone else. The moon in Cancer, and the sun in Libra, and Mars in Aries, and Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter in Capricorn. And so it's just a lot of sort of conflicting, intense energy, which is going to be happening at the end of the week. And then, so it's just like all of this drama that's going on. And so I really feel like the Mercury might sort of give us some good clues as to how to work with things and how to move in a different direction, what different actually might look like. So we can see that sort of thing happening. And then we do get a little bit of a break later at the very end of the week on Sunday. The sun in Libra will square Jupiter in Capricorn. Now this is still a square aspect, and so there's still conflict, there's still tension. This is not our super cuddly Santa Claus kind of Jupiter situation, right? Both of these planets are in signs that make them kind of uncomfortable. They're a little bit they're just a little bit sort of tense and prickly already. There's all this Saturn and Mars influence. Like, nobody is comfortable here, right? But Jupiter is still Jupiter, and still wants to improve things, still wants to benefit in some kind of way, still wants to help a little bit. And Jupiter and the sun are buddies. They are neighboring kings. They get along together. They like each other. And so there's a sense here that there maybe commiseration could go down or something like that. This is like some kind of thing where maybe folks are a little bit uncomfortable and able to talk it out, able to like feel each other or something like this. There's a speck of harmony to be had here before we get into the new moon and all of the rest of the craziness that's going to happen here in a little bit. So next week is going to continue this theme. We are not done yet. We are in the middle of the wildest season most of us have seen, and this is what a time to be alive. So thanks so much for hanging out with me. If you want to hear more about your chart specifically, I do readings. Feel free to reach out through Instagram or through my website. All of this is going to be links in the bio and all that. Do check out my Patreon. Make sure to use the 10% discount Zamboni Funk at the Alchemist Kitchen. Make sure to go to the new location at the Alchemist Kitchen, 119 Crosby Street. Check it out. I look forward to seeing y'all next week. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.